Marceline!
You guys want to come party in the nightosphere with me?
Most fans remember Marceline the Vampire Queen for her bass guitar, rebellious charm, and irresistible edge. But behind the fangs and sarcasm is one of the most heart-wrenching stories Adventure Time ever told, and almost never said out loud. She's not just a punk rock immortal. She's the abandoned child of an apocalypse, a girl who lost everything, again and again, and somehow kept moving forward. But the pain, it never really left. And if you look closely, her entire journey is one long echo of trauma, healing, and identity. Because Marceline isn't just surviving a post-war world. She's surviving herself. Before she was the Vampire Queen, Marceline was just a scared little girl living in the ruins of a dead world. The Mushroom War didn't just break civilization, it shattered her family. Her father, Hunson Abadir, left her behind. Her mother is barely remembered. And as a half-demon child, Marceline wandered the fallout alone, until one broken man gave her shelter. Simon Petrikov wasn't a hero yet. He was a scholar, slowly losing his mind to the crown. But to Marceline, he was something no one else had been in a long time. Safe. He fed her, protected her, and gave her hope, until the madness took over. Watching the person who saved you become a monster is a special kind of grief, one that never really heals. And Marceline carried that loss with her for hundreds of years. At 18, she was bitten by the Vampire King, and from that moment on, she stopped aging. Immortality is often romanticized, but for Marceline, it meant being stuck as the same scared, angry teenager forever. She never got to grow into her pain, she just lived in it. Time passed, the world changed, but Marceline stayed the same. Watching everyone else move on while she stayed behind, unaging, alone, and unsure if she was even supposed to still be here. And as the centuries wore on, she didn't become wiser or softer. She became guarded, funny, sarcastic, detached. Because when you've been hurt over and over, it's safer to build a wall than risk being hurt again. But the walls couldn't last forever. In the Stakes miniseries, Marceline tries to rid herself of her vampire powers, thinking maybe she can finally be normal.
I want you to do the procedure, the one we talked about.
I'm sorry, but I don't think you'd make a good blonde.
But removing the vampire side doesn't erase the past. It brings it back. In waves. She confronts every vampire she ever defeated, every ghost of who she used to be. And in doing so, she realizes that her pain wasn't just in the powers. It was in what they took from her freedom, her choices, her future. Long before the crown twisted Simon Petrikov into a babbling, unpredictable shell of a man, he was something much simpler, her guardian. After the Mushroom War shattered the world, it was Simon who held her hand through the ruins. He scavenged for food. He sang to her when the silence got too loud. But the cost of protection was steep. With each use of the crown, Simon lost a piece of himself. Marceline watched it happen. Watched the man who once read her bedtime stories slip further into delusion. Marceline never forgot.
Stop acting crazy!
I just want to be loved! Uh-oh. I'm sorry I pushed you.
To her, he was still Simon. Still the man who saved her when no one else did. And despite everything, the crown, the madness, the distance, she kept trying to reach him. Her music became her memory. She sang, not for fame or fun, but to remember who he was, and to remind him if he was still in there somewhere. Even when Finn and Jake wrote him off as another bizarre villain, Marceline pushed back.
What is going on in there?
She knew there was a man under all that ice, and in rare moments, when the crown's grip loosened, Simon would flicker through, a glimpse of his true self. Their relationship wasn't just a thread back to reality, it was a lifeline, the last thing connecting Simon to the world before the madness. And for Marceline, it was a wound that never fully healed, and yet their bond endured. But love like that, stretching across lifetimes and identities, doesn't always lead to happy endings. For Simon, reconnecting meant facing everything he lost. For Marceline, it meant choosing to love someone who might never fully come back. Still, she held on. Because sometimes, in a broken world, love isn't about fixing someone.
You don't remember anything, do you, Simon?
What, man?
I think we should quickly touch on how Marcy was seen in early episodes of Adventure Time because her future significance and impact may not have been fully understood before she was a fan favorite. Before the songs, the flashbacks, and her heartbreaking lore, Marceline was something else entirely. When she first glides into frame and evicted, cool, confident, and completely unbothered, she doesn't ask Finn and Jake to leave their home. She tells them,
I carved it in this tree years ago, long before you two rascals started squatting here.
At first glance, she's the villain of the week. A chaotic force laughing at Finn's sword swings and scaring Jake out of his stretchy skin, but something feels off. Not evil, not even mean, just complicated. She doesn't destroy their home out of rage. She toys with them, teases them, pushes just hard enough to drive them away, but not hard enough to truly hurt, almost like she's testing boundaries, like someone who's been burned before and now plays with people just to see if they'll flinch. And underneath the punk rock demeanor and vampire grin is someone who always keeps moving. When Finn and Jake reclaim their house, she doesn't fight back. She just smiles and leaves. That's not a villain. That's someone used to walking away before they're asked to.
And looking back now, it all makes sense. The sarcasm, the detachment, the wild swings between control and chaos. These weren't just character quirks. They were defense mechanisms. Little pieces of armor welded on over centuries of loneliness, abandonment, and pain. Addicted wasn't just Marceline's introduction to the audience. It was a warning in plain sight that the coolest vampire in Ooo might also be the loneliest. But that was only the beginning. As we all know, her imperfections would show up throughout the future seasons of Adventure Time.
In Obsidian, we see Marcy again. Older, wiser, but still healing. She and Bubblegum live together. They've built a life.
Thanks, you goof.
But even then, old wounds rise. When the Glass Kingdom needs help, Marceline and Bubblegum are ready. The mission forces her to confront something she thought she'd buried long ago. The version of herself that wielded music like a weapon. The rage, the hurt, the fear of abandonment. All of it comes rushing back when she realizes that the very song she once used to banish Malto Larvo was written at one of the darkest points in her life, when she thought everyone she loved would eventually leave. Despite all the strength she's built, Marceline walks into the Glass Kingdom with a weight on her chest. She questions if she's still that scared little girl.
Is that really what I sound like?
If deep down, she'll always be the person who lashes out first to avoid getting hurt. But here's the difference. She doesn't run this time. Instead, she opens up. To Bubblegum, to herself.
It feels more like a wave of acceptance has washed over me.
She talks about her past. She sings from vulnerability, not vengeance. She chooses love even when it terrifies her. And when the monster returns, she faces it not with anger, but with truth. Her new song doesn't push anyone away.
It draws people in. That's not weakness. That's transformation.
This is Marceline at her most powerful. Not because she's fearless, but because if she is afraid, she will keep showing up anyway. More importantly, she healed. Not all at once, not completely, but enough to love again, enough to live again. So many of us carry wounds we never talk about. We crack jokes instead of crying. We act cool instead of admitting how badly we want to be understood. But Marceline shows us that healing doesn't mean forgetting the past. It means facing it, and still choosing to move forward. If you've ever felt like you've lost who you were, if you've ever struggled to trust anyone again, if you've ever wondered whether you were too broken to be loved, Marceline is proof that you're not. You're still here. You're still becoming. And maybe you don't need to slay a vampire or save a kingdom. Maybe you just need to let one person in, or write a song, or forgive yourself. Because healing isn't always loud. Sometimes, it's just letting yourself exist.
Thanks for watching, Marcy fans! Over here at the Ooo Times, we love dissecting the show over its historic run. We plan to bring you videos all about our favorite residents of Ooo. So, if that sounds like a good time to you, please hit that like and subscribe button.